Hello, I would like to take you on a journey into the world of professional wrestling. This is the Rasslin Report. Alright, hello everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Rasslin Report, where I talk nothing about my passion, and that's wrestling. I'm your host, John Ale, and thank you very much for joining me once again on this beautiful Monday morning, post-Super Bowl. Seattle Seahawks beat the New England Patriots 29-13 in what I thought was a classic performance by the Seahawks. The defense, they gave Drake May hell all night, and he never really had an answer. Just a really dominant game by the Seahawks. It was a fun night. Just reminds me of why I love football. You know, the Chiefs weren't in it. The Eagles weren't in it. We saw two young teams, trying to earn a chance at a championship, and not a dynasty that we all love or not love or whatever you feel. You know, we had two new teams willing to give it all they had. And I think the right team won. I think Sam Darnold has earned this, considering all the crap he's been through, if you know anything about that. So overall, I'm very happy for Seattle fans out there. So congratulations to the Hawks. This week of Raw and SmackDown, I think, was pretty solid. We're building up to the Elimination Chamber, and we're starting to get qualifying matches for those Elimination Chamber matches, and a lot of stories are starting to develop, get some other layers, and I think overall we're setting up a very good WrestleMania, I believe, in April, because we've confirmed the main event. We've confirmed one of the major main events for WrestleMania. I'll get into that later on in the podcast. And we've also going to figure out exactly who Drew McIntyre will be facing at WrestleMania as a WWE champion. And I feel like we already have a basic idea of who that's going to be. So with that being said, I want to once again thank everybody for watching or listening, regardless of how you are doing so. And with that, we'll kick it off. So we open up Monday Night Raw with Braun Breaker menacingly walking down to the ring before the show even formally kicks off, and he's pissed off over how the Rumble went down for him on Saturday. If you don't recall, Braun Breaker was entering the Rumble at number 2, and before he could even have a chance to compete in this match, some sort of hooded figure attacked him, and we don't know who this hooded figure is, but Breaker believes it has something to do with Adam Pearce. Being the Raw general manager and all, pulling all the strings. He feels there is a conspiracy. And he's pissed. He's flipping over announce tables, he's throwing chairs, he's calling out commentary, he's looking like a rabid dog, as he usually does. He calls out Adam Pearce before other members of the Vision try to calm him down. This is a volatile situation already. They already know how Braun Breaker is. The guy is crazy. He screams with spit flying into the mic to screw Adam Pearce and screw Monday Night Raw. But Paul Heyman takes the mic. Paul Heyman takes the mic, and he says it isn't anyone's fault for Braun Breaker's quick elimination other than Adam Pearce. He's going full conspiracy. The Vision is locked in on this. I feel like this will reach some sort of major culmination in due time. But Adam Pearce eventually comes out, and he says he doesn't know who the identity of the hooded figure is, and Heyman claims bullshit on it. But this isn't before Breaker takes back the mic that he originally had and gives Pearce to the count of 3 to, quote, "Get your sorry ass out here and come to my ring." And before he gets to 3, Adam Pearce is sick and tired of hearing Braun Breaker complain. He doubles down on the fact that he was number 2, and that was the number he drew, and that is by the luck of chance, and there's nothing else to it. Pearce also points out the fact that the last time we saw a masked man in the WWE was when the Vision brought in Austin Theory to screw over countless of superstars. Pearce says he'll give him a gift, and that's to keep his job. especially after such a shit performance in the Royal Rumble. His quotes, not mine. This infuriates Breaker, and he goes storming after Pierce, but big Bronson Reed's pushing into him. Security's trying to stop him. At this point, I have a feeling Adam Pierce is gonna get a nasty spear from Braun Breaker. He's so tired of this crap. He's gonna let Pierce know about it. But he was stopped. But, I love butts, I guess. I'm sorry. We hear LA Knight's music. So LA Knight came back at the Rumble on Saturday, so he's got unfinished business to settle with the Vision. The Vision took him out, hence the reason why he was out and came back at the Rumble is because the Vision took him out. So he's coming back and he's attacking the Vision with a steel chair. He just goes crazy. He goes and attacks Logan Paul with it. He attacks Austin Theory with it. And Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker scurry away. And LA Knight's left standing in the ring, and the Vision is left wondering what the hell is happening and what are we doing? How has this fallen apart so much since we've decided to turn on Seth Rollins all those months ago? I don't know. I don't know. The Vision is starting to crack. Without Seth Rollins, without that leadership, they haven't necessarily been that same team. And a lot of fans feel the same way. You know, Seth Rollins, I think, helped a lot of those guys get to the point they are. So, you know, them on their own, kind of doing their own thing, it's clear they lack that leadership. They're all kind of just on their own accord. But anyway, LA Knight looks strong here. It doesn't mean anything because he can never win the big one. He'll never win a big match against these guys. He'll always look strong in a feud and a building up moment, but he's not going to ever look good. Not in Triple H's mind. I don't understand how many more times LA Knight has to get the I don't know, the short end of the stick. We'll talk about that later. But LA Knight looks good here. This is a solid way to start the Rumble. Can't complain. Here's something I can't complain about. We got Javon Evans versus El Grande Americano, the Ludwig Kaiser version, not the original, with his compatriots of Bravo and Rayo Americano. I figured out the other Americano's name. I didn't know what it was last week because they didn't even show it, but it's Rayo Americano. So it's Bravo and Rayo Americano backing up this new version of El Grande Americano. I know, it's word salad. Get it off my screen. But before I even get into the match, I'm going to say this again. Everyone involved needs better than this. I think everyone involved can do better than this. I think they all know that too. And Javon Evans, I mean, this kid's going to be your future of the company. This kid's so talented. And if you just stick him in a bunch of silly stuff, it's not going to make him out to be a serious contender for the future of this company. Like I'm seeing on the same show Obafemi destroy guys and look like he's going to be world champion by next year. But then we see Javon Evans in these silly feuds, and I don't know where they're going to go with him before they start giving him a mid-card title opportunity, like against Carmelo Hayes or against Dominic Mysterio. But this isn't it. This is not it. But Javon Evans, I mean, his offense is so unique. I love it. But the El Grandes get their stuff in. They get some good offense. Evans would eventually hit this crazy corkscrew kick to the back of the head of Americano 2. That's what I'm going to call him, Americano 2. Like the sequel, because they're so unoriginal out there. And hence, at some point in this match, Rayo and Bravo Americano get involved. They're trying to distract the referee as well as Javon Evans. But this doesn't work because the original El Grande Americano comes out and Chad Gable. And he distracts the Americano gang long enough for Javon Evans to hit a big cutter on El Grande 2 for the win. So Javon Evans gets this win over El Grande 2. and I don't know what it does for him. But now that Chad Gable's back, hopefully we'll be able to actually tell this story, at least a story, and conclude it, because I think that's where we have to go at this point. We cut to a returning AJ Styles. We hear the music of AJ Styles. We hear the Titantron of AJ Styles. So everybody in the crowd assumes that it's AJ Styles, because if it walks like a chicken and it talks like a chicken, it's a chicken. But alas, Gunther came out. And he came out to his entrance. He was trying to do the whole thing, and it was so despicable because he's building this like he's got a body count. Um, but now on his Titantron it says career killer. So WWE is officially calling Gunther the career killer. Loud boos reign in the arena. Gunther, of course, loves every second of it. They're chanting "You tapped out," of course, when he tapped to Jey Uso last year at WrestleMania, and then when he tapped out to AJ actually a couple weeks ago on Raw. Gunther says that AJ found out, just like John Cena and Goldberg, that when you step in the ring with the career killer, your legacy dies. Dragon Lee, AJ Styles' friend and former tag team partner and champion, storms out to the ring and absolutely at first puts belt to ass. He's beating Gunther up all over the arena. But eventually, this is how Gunther settles in. As this offense is going on, he eventually grabs a ring bell and hits Dragon Lee over the head, and then hits that dreaded sleeper hold that has tapped out John Cena, that's passed out AJ Styles. Officials are coming out to try and interfere from this chaos. But Gunther, let me tell you guys this. I'll show the visual. I don't know if YouTube will take it down or not. This is a risky bet. But this visual of Gunther having Dragon Lee in the sleeper hold draped over the ropes is absolutely insane. I don't know how they go try and do it without literal problems, but it looks sick. It's an insane visual. But eventually Gunther lets go after holding Dragon Lee basically by his head on the apron. And Lee just spirals onto the floor. He lets go. Lee's sent crashing to the floor. Gunther puts his coat back on. He just leaves. He just leaves like nothing happened. Boos, of course, reign, but he's just leaving. Like, he didn't just do that. And that's what we have from Gunther right now. Just somebody who's not willing to deal with any shit anymore. He's the ring general. He's trying to take back the sport that he loves. I'll tell you that in a promo. This great sport. But overall, I think Gunther is building up to be such a good bad guy. And I cannot imagine that AJ Styles will be the last person he ends up retiring. I'm sure someone else will come down the line. We then cut to a backstage segment where Paul Heyman confronts Adam Pearce about booking Braun Breaker and LA Knight for a match tonight, which he did during the commercial break, I think. And Pearce says he can't do that. He's already escorted Knight out of the building for interrupting the show, and tells Heyman to inform Braun Breaker he's out of the building as well. So Paul Heyman wanted a match. Paul Heyman wanted a match with Braun Breaker and LA Knight after what LA Knight did to Braun Breaker, hitting him with the chair, messing him up. Paul Heyman wanted to book a match between the two tonight, but due to the two going absolutely berserk, Pearce is kicking them both out of the building for the evening, and Pearce tells Heyman that he's got to go tell his boy that. And tell his other boy, Big Bronson Reed, that he's got a matchup tonight against Penta. So, not only does he kick out Braun Breaker, but he puts Bronson Reed in a match tonight. And obviously, Paul Heyman is not happy about that. We cut to another backstage segment, and this was after the commercial break, where Braun Breaker must have heard the news, and he's not happy about it. He's storming his way out. Um, and then Paul Heyman's trying to calm him down. I mean, Paul Heyman's got probably the most stressful job in the entire business. He's got to deal with such crazy ass people, from Roman Reigns to Brock Lesnar to Braun Breaker. He doesn't pick up people in his group that aren't somewhat normal. He grabs just a bunch of people who are crazy. So I don't know. I guess that's your own doing. I guess I can't tell you. But Breaker assumedly exits the building. He's pissed, and that's that. So we get a tag team match, and this is one that I wasn't expecting. But we see the Viking Raiders standing out in the ring, and out of nowhere, what I wasn't expecting was Obafemi. So they're booking Obafemi in a 1-on-2 handicap match. But this guy's such a tank that it doesn't even matter that it's 2-on-1. He just destroys Eric and Ivar. And these guys were like tag team champions not even a year ago or something around those lines. But I mean, Oba just runs through them. This guy's a tank, man. I mean, there's nothing else really to say about this match. He just takes it over, and he's gonna be their guy, no doubt about that. He's gonna be the man. But we then cut to a Finn Balor vignette, and this was something I was interested about, especially considering he wasn't in the Rumble. But Finn Balor talks about how the wrestling business is built on respect, and how he's tired of trying to follow a respectful business that doesn't give back. He says that the longer he's around, the more he realizes the respect he never gets, the respect he's deserved and earned. And he says that the match he put out on Belfast was always what he's capable of, and is upset that he couldn't find his way into the Rumble match. However, he still wants his World Heavyweight Championship. And he says he's no longer a bad guy, but at this stage of his career, he's willing to do bad things. So, this was, of course, in a message after he attacked CM Punk on Raw last week. He means business. He's ready to just take over. And he's upset about the fact that there was 30 spots, and he wasn't one of those 30 spots. And I don't blame the guy. Considering who we've had in the Rumble instead of him, I just don't get it. I justify with Finn. I understand Finn. I think he's done more than the Americanos have done to deserve a spot in the Royal Rumble. Definitely. Just his career alone, just stack his resume up against anybody's, and he's got a pretty good resume. So I don't blame him. Justified. But then we cut to a Bella Twins promo. So this is for the first time in 7 years we see Nikki and Brie Bella together as the Bella Twins. And that's great to see, honestly. I know they get a lot of hate from people. And that's fine. Everybody gets hate from a lot of people. You've just got to be you, and I love the Bellas. I think they add so much to the business. I think they add so much to the women. They're a veteran presence. I said that last week when Brie Bella returned. I'm just so super stoked for what they have to offer. Nikki Bella says that this is a very full circle moment for them, and she is very happy that Brie mode is back. Which Brie says she's finally home and she's happy to be back as well. But the reason she's back because she and Nikki are the original tag team. And at the time in 2000 something through 2010, 11, 12, there wasn't any women's tag teams because the idea of a women's tag team championship wasn't even possible. So Nikki and Brie Bella were doing things at the time when there wasn't those things happening. They were trendsetters. They were trailblazers. They did things that now speak the tag team championships that we have today into existence. So hell yeah, I'm 100% for them going for those tag team titles, and I hope they win those tag team titles eventually. So happy to see them back together. It's better than whatever Nikki was trying to do on her own. They're best together. It's perfect. We then cut to a backstage segment where we've got Alpha Academy, which is the team of Otis and Tozawa. Excuse me, oh my gosh. They're just hanging out when famous comedian Bert Kreischer shows up. And basically, he shows up to promote this new Netflix special he has. This is a lot of what WWE's done since they've partnered with Netflix. Just bring people in to plug their Netflix stuff. So, this is essentially what this was. But, I mean, he wishes them luck in their tag team title match against the Usos. Still don't know when that is. But when it shows up, I'll cover it. Maxine Dupree shows up. She's also a part of Alpha Academy, by the way. I should mention that. But Maxine Dupree shows up, and Kreischer says it's messed up for what Natty is saying about her and doing to her. If you don't recall, Natty kind of was the mentor to Maxine, kind of trained her in the Hart family dungeon, got her basically ready to wrestle on this full-time basis, and she kind of turned her back on her after winning the Intercontinental title because I guess jealousy. I don't really know. I think we still have some layers to flesh out with that. But Maxine says that after all the shit Natty's put her through, she's gonna break her ankle with her signature ankle lock next week on Raw. So they're gonna have a match next week. So that's good. We'll have at least a match between the two. And she says she's gonna put her signature ankle lock onto Natty and break her ankle. So there's some major beef going there. Speaking of some beef, we've got the match of Penta and Big Bronson Reed. So Bronson Reed is accompanied by all of his Vision members, minus Braun Breaker, who we assumed has left the building. And Penta doesn't have his fellow Luchador Avenger in Dragon Lee because Gunther laid his ass out. Bronson Reed, for the early part of this match, just has his way with Penta and hardly any offense to offer back. So Penta's just getting beat up. I mean, the size differential really plays a factor in this kind of match. But he eventually gets some stuff in. He drives Reed out of the ring, hits his classic senton off the top rope. He hits his smooth criminal kind of MJ walk in the ring. That's probably my favorite thing about him is that Michael Jackson walk that he has. Go into the ring. It's so smooth. If you ever get a chance to just look at his entrance, it's really cool to watch. He's fun to watch. Penta's just a fun guy to watch. But eventually, Reed takes back over, and he mocks Penta while beating him up again. This is a one-sided affair for the most part of this match. But the heart of Penta is undeniable, and that's why I keep saying there's like little spurts of offense in this match from Penta where you believe maybe he can turn the tide around, but he hits a devastating headbutt, Reed does, and Penta hitting him in the chest, backstabbers, chops to the chest. But eventually, Austin Theory and Logan Paul, the Vision, start messing around. But Penta takes out both of them with a big splash off the top rope. So Penta's laid out the Vision, and we've got them out of the way, but Reed caught him with a distraction because of it and hits him with his very famous tsunami. But Triple H rules, there's no ref to call the pin. If you haven't watched Triple H WWE, you usually expect there to be a no referee or a referee distraction or something like that. There's a lot of repetition with how these things happen. But there's no ref to call the pin, so Bronson Reed grabs a steel chair, but twice in one night, LA Knight comes back and hits Reed, and Reed runs away again. So not only does LA Knight come back at the beginning of the show to lay steel chair on people, but he's come back twice in laying steel chair on people. The ref returns in the ring conveniently once all that's over, and counts Bronson Reed out due to being unable to get back in the ring. So essentially, he had to count of 10 to get back in the ring. That's the rules. And he didn't reach that 10 count. So Penta wins via countout and via obvious LA Knight interference. I imagine we'll be getting LA Knight and Braun Breaker or Bronson Reed at the Elimination Chamber. I don't know. But the feud between these two and just the vision in general for LA Knight, it's going to get juicy. And I can only hope that this can lead to LA Knight winning a big match that can hopefully get him to win a big title. But eventually we get out to the Dominic Mysterio and Liv Morgan promo. The first time we've seen Dominic Mysterio in a little bit since his shoulder injury in December. And for Liv Morgan since she won the Royal Rumble back on Saturday. But she's so happy to see Dom. They hug, they kiss, they do all the quote unquote boyfriend and girlfriend stuff. They're not really boyfriend and girlfriend. Dominic's got a real wife at home. It's just, part of the gimmick. But Liv thanks her man and says that, and I quote, here we go. I'm going to try and do it away from the mic. But she's the greatest Royal Rumble winner of all time. She does that literally every time. Every time. She says picking her opponent for WrestleMania is a tough decision, so we'll have to wait a little bit. She wants to go to SmackDown and assess her options there with Jade Cargill, but one thing she knows for sure is that there will be a new Women's World Champion tonight, and welcomes her best friend and fellow Judgment Day teammate, Raquel Rodriguez. If you don't recall, Raquel Rodriguez was eliminated by Liv Morgan in the Royal Rumble match, so that Liv Morgan could win the Royal Rumble match. She was eliminated by Liv Morgan. I wonder if that'll play a role tonight. Rodriguez says we've been celebrating Morgan's win all weekend, but we haven't been talking about the other thing that happened at the Rumble. She asks very clearly why Liv chose to eliminate her in the manner in which she did. And Liv responds with the fact that she knows Raquel is not a selfish person and knows that they both now have title opportunities. I mean, look what I gave you. I'm going to WrestleMania. You can beat Stephanie Vaquer tonight. We'll both be world champions. We're all good. Don't worry about it. I eliminated you at the Rumble, but don't worry about it. I did all this, that, and the third. Distraction. Raquel is fine with that, but tonight she doesn't want Liv or anyone else in the Judgment Day in her corner tonight. She wants to believe that she can beat Stephanie Vaquer on her own, and she wants to beat Stephanie Vaquer on her own. So Liv agrees, and that's what's planned. Judgment Day will not be involved, and Raquel and Stephanie Vaquer's Philadelphia street fight should go without problems, without a hitch. So we then cut right to it, because I guess that's what we were cutting right to. So we got Stephanie Vaquer and Raquel Rodriguez in a Philadelphia street fight for the Women's World Championship. So Stephanie Vaquer comes out with a new theme song, which throughout the week I've seen multiple different opinions. I think from the majority basis, it sounds like people aren't a fan of the song. And I can agree to disagree. It's hard to let go of a song that resembles a superstar and has been with that superstar for so long. But then I look at other cases with other songs and other changes, and I think about that songs have an opportunity to be better than the last, and they can both still be good. I enjoy this new theme, and I, of course, miss the old theme a lot. I think this new theme has potential if it gets more time. It's obviously new. It's obviously fresh. It's hard to stick a new theme as soon as it comes out. Usually if a fan likes a song, it's after a little bit of time hearing it. So we'll see in about a week or two how the opinions still navigate. But I think overall, it's a good theme, and it's obviously not better than her old theme, but it's still a good theme nonetheless. Raquel is looking to win a world championship for the first time in her career, but she has never beaten Vaquer to do so at any time they've ever competed. So Raquel starts off strong and hits tons of purpose, but this thing quickly ends up back and forth. Vaquer springboards off the top rope to Rodriguez on the floor and brings out the first weapon in this match, which is the very trusted table, Philly Special, But Raquel uses the table against her and gives Vaquer a powerbomb through that very same table. Raquel then goes after Vaquer's ankle, the very reason this whole thing started, the very bone, ligament, whatever you want to call it, that she wanted to attack week after week of Vaquer. This is the whole reason this whole thing has started. The champ doesn't allow it. She smacks Rodriguez with kendo sticks and sets up for her classic Devil's Kiss, but Raquel deflects it. Raquel starts throwing a bunch of steel chairs in the ring and throws Stephanie back first onto that pile of chairs. And in the midst of hitting a splash, Stephanie counters and finally hits Rodriguez with her famous Devil's Kiss. Not only on the steel chairs, but on the steel steps as well. If you guys get a chance to check out the Devil's Kiss finisher, it's quite an interesting finishing move. I won't go into it all in detail, but it's quite an interesting move. Liv Morgan eventually gets involved, even though she was told not to in the match, and tries to give her the championship to use as a weapon. But Vaquer takes advantage of the distraction. All this chaos is going on. Raquel's trying to get Liv off of her. She's trying to hit a power bomb on the Vaquer through a table, but Stephanie counters and sends Raquel through it instead for the 1, 2, 3. And not Raquel, Stephanie Vaquer is still your women's world champion. And just basically immediately after the match is over, Liv Morgan attacks her. And she holds the women's world championship above Stephanie's head to end the segment. I don't know, Raquel, how you can look at this situation character-wise and be like, Liv has totally got my back here. Like, it's clear and obvious what she's trying to do. She's trying to make it about her. And she was specifically given instructions not to go out to that ring. And she sure did. Because she doesn't care about Raquel. She does not care about Raquel. She has used Raquel up for all she's worth. In my opinion, in my mind. Raquel's going to go on this crazy hero run, I imagine, once that Judgment Day break happens. But holy moly, I can imagine Judgment Day turmoil is going to reach all-time highs with enough time. That's crazy. That's crazy. Again, you went against my wishes and did it anyway. And who knows? Maybe Raquel would be women's world champion had Liv not interfered. We don't know. We do not know. But if I'm Raquel, I'm starting to reconsider my options. Friendships, at least. Roman Reigns and CM Punk. This concluded our show. And Roman Reigns was scheduled to make his Raw return since winning his Royal Rumble match. And he obviously has a choice to make at WrestleMania as well. So he comes out to address the win. He talks about his history in Philadelphia. He won his first WWE Championship there. He lost his last one here. That was a pretty symbolic thing. He acknowledges that it's symbolic. No pun intended there. Excuse me. He says he has a decision to make, and he calls on the Philly crowd for help. Because they've went through a lot together, you know. He wants to know their opinion, and fans chant immediately for CM Punk, the World Heavyweight Champion. And then CM Punk comes out pretty much right afterward. I mean, he heard it, he listened to it, he saw the fans, he watched Roman, he wanted to come out and talk to him. He calls out Finn Balor before even saying anything, and saying that when he's pushed far enough, he's the baddest guy around here, and Finn will eventually find that out. But he focuses his attention back on Roman and is perplexed why he Roman is perplexed. I'm sorry, not Punk. Roman is perplexed why he interrupted him just to do that and call Finn Balor out here and not even try and talk to him. Punk reminds Reigns that he's just a guest on his show and that he's a part-timer. He doesn't like the idea of Roman Reigns and Drew McIntyre and prefers a match between the two of them. Picking Drew would be the easy way out, according to Punk. Considering their history together, that's crazy. They had a crazy feud. Roman says he's talking crazy, which I mean he kind of is, and saying that Drew is like 4 times bigger than him, and that last time he checked, Drew and Punk were fighting over Punk's quote unquote stupid little plastic bracelet. Now, for those of you that don't know the feud, Punk has a bracelet on his wrist that has the name of his wife, AJ, and the name of his now passed away dog, Larry. R.I.P. Larry. And so, that was Drew used to take it and steal it from him and broke it in front of him. It got really personal between the two. And so Roman is calling that back out. So now we're getting into what you would call the personal category of a feud, or I guess a conversation. So, but Punk reminds Roman a very simple fact. He told him to tread carefully because Drew ran out of staples, and the hospital ran out of staples to put his dumbass back together after he was done with him. I mean, that was a crazy line. Roman counters with that he's also beaten Drew numerous of times, and Punk counters at that with how many family members did it take to do it? It's a callback to his bloodline days. I mean, Roman from 2020 to 2024 never really won a match by himself. His family helped him win most matches. Every now and then he'd win one on his own. But Punk is saying that Roman beating Drew doesn't mean anything when he only beats him with help. So it was a crazy, crazy line. These two are just spitting absolute heat at each other. There are no holds barred. They're going crazy. Roman Reigns says that he's the reason WWE is where it is today. Those 4 years when he was on top, WWE champion with his family. I mean, WWE changed because of him. He's not lying about that. He's not. Punk responds with the fact that he manipulated his family to follow him religiously along this way to greatness, but he really held the place hostage. He also says that Roman followed in his footsteps by making Paul Heyman his wise man, as they both have a crazy amount of history with him. So Punk has also history with Paul Heyman. He was like his advocate back in 2013, his quote-unquote best friend before he turned on him at last year's WrestleMania. Paul Heyman turned on both Roman Reigns and CM Punk to align with Seth Rollins and start the division. So they both have issues with Paul Heyman. Both have trust issues. And at the end of the day, they don't like each other. There's a lot of history between each other. That's just as common history as Seth Rollins, and I'll get into that in a second. Punk says Roman chooses to be a part-timer while he goes to 10 countries in 3 weeks to wrestle and meet fans all around the world. And then he follows with, he chose to bring Roman Reigns into the WWE as part of the Shield back in 2012. And like I said, the Shield was kind of like hired help for CM Punk back in 2012. That's how they were being packaged in the WWE, as this hired help for CM Punk. So the very real aspect of CM Punk brought those 3 guys up to the main roster. And who knows if Punk didn't make that decision where Roman would be today. And he just wants to remind him of that. I mean, that's a crazy line. These lines are all crazy. But Roman laughs at him. He laughs at the fact that Punk thinks he learned from him, which he did not. 2 years ago, when they wanted to bring Punk back, they came to Roman himself for permission. They asked him if it was good. They asked him if it was cool. He's also pissed off about how Punk left WWE back in 2014 and burned the bridges behind him. Due to all the injury issues and all the getting fired on the wedding day and all these issues with Vince McMahon. That's a name we can't name anymore. And he even called out the movie they were in together in Zootopia 2. They're the Zeebro cops, I think they are. I haven't even watched it, but I know they're Zeebros. But he mentioned the fact that they aren't Zeebros anymore, or whatever stupid stuff like that. But he decides to pick Punk right then and there. He's decided after this big heated confrontation that I don't need to fight Drew McIntyre. That's a silly fool's errand. I need Punk because I hate him. And that's his reason. That's his reason for picking Punk at WrestleMania, because he hates Punk. And at WrestleMania, he will make him acknowledge the tribal chief. And that's how our segment ends. We officially set up one of our main events for WrestleMania, night 1 or 2, probably night 2. It'll be Roman Reigns and CM Punk for the World Heavyweight Championship. This has plenty of time to develop. This has plenty of time to build. We got 2 months. I have a good feeling this feud's going to be the best thing on the product. This has already started off really strong. And being a fan that I am and growing up around this time, I remember every bit of this stuff. This is great stuff they're telling. It's a great story they're telling, one I never even thought would have the chance to be told. But because Punk is back and because Roman is as successful as he is now, this has the potential to be a great feud. And I can only hope they can continue to build off of this, considering Roman won't be around for all of it, and Punk has to probably do at least like majority of the heavy lifting. Let's just be honest here. Both guys are incredibly talented though, and great main event plan. So overall, not a bad show. I'm not against the show. I think there's things again that I'm gonna keep critiquing until they're changed, until we get something different. But overall, I think it's a solid show. We build up WrestleMania, we build up Elimination Chamber, and I think that's what you need. We're coming right off the Royal Rumble. Gotta stay on the course. But now we move on to Friday Night SmackDown, and boy, was this one a doozy. So I'm going to go ahead and kick it off. So we begin with WWE Champion Drew McIntyre, who I spoke about earlier. We don't know what his path to WrestleMania is, who he's going to fight. He's going to probably fight the winner of the Chamber match coming up. And so he makes his way out. But on his way down, Cody Rhodes shows up and starts beating ass. He's obviously very pissed about the fact that Drew eliminated him from the Royal Rumble last week when he wasn't even in the match. You see, Braun Breaker got eliminated from somebody who wasn't in the match, and so did Cody Rhodes. So it's crazy. It's crazy how guys that aren't even in the match are eliminating guys in the match. I'd be so upset. I don't blame Cody. And then they just start brawling everywhere. And this is what you would call a receipt. You know, Drew did this to Cody. Cody's saying, this is my payback. Security floods in and tries desperately to separate the two, but Cody makes his way into the ring and grabs a mic, and he is pissed off. He is probably as mad as I've ever seen him before. He says things will never be the same between him and Drew, and says for the first time since he came back in 2022, his road to WrestleMania is now uncertain due to his actions. He would then go on a crazy rant and say that CM Punk and Roman Reigns going to WrestleMania is nothing more than... and I quote, I heard there's going to be a you-know-what measuring contest, and they should be glad I'm not in it, because they didn't call me Raheem for no reason. So if you don't understand that, I'm gonna put just a little snippet. There's a little joke going on in the wrestling community where like Cody Rhodes has just been like fully accepted into the African American community. He's just like super over with the African American population. And so they've put Raheem as his middle name, and they've put him in pictures with civil rights leaders and all this other stuff from the 60s, and it's just so funny. So this is the first time he's like publicly on a show embraced this joke. And so I think it's a really funny joke. But anyway, you can do the math on the you-know-what measuring contest and all that. You can do the math on that. I'm not going to explain all that. But he talks about being born in Charlotte, North Carolina, which is where they are tonight. And the shame that comes with not returning here with the championship. But he says Drew wasn't mad because he wasn't champion, but he's mad because Cody was. And he finishes his scathing promo by saying not to worry about a thing because Drew McIntyre won't even make it to WrestleMania. Oh man, Cody was on his stuff tonight, man. When Cody can really crack down and when he can cut a crazy promo, he knows how to cut a promo. He is super talented. He gets you to believe every word he's saying. That's how we got to have him win the story in 2024 because he's just so talented at getting you to just believe in him, no matter what crap, no matter who he's facing. I just love Cody Rhodes. I really do. He's made a believer out of me. He's made a fan out of me. That's all I can say on that. But we cut to a backstage segment with the United States champion, women's United States champion, Julia and Kiana James, and they're talking about their upcoming women's tag team title match with Rhea Ripley and Io Sky. Kiana James says that the tag team titles are just a stepping stone for her partner Julia to become a Triple Crown champion. Because she hasn't won the world title yet and the tag titles yet. She's only won a mid card title, and that's usually the qualifications that you would need to become a Triple Crown champion. You would need to win a world title, a mid card title, and a tag title. So Julia's trying to accomplish the tag team title part tonight while she's already United States champion, and then win her Elimination Chamber qualifying match to then go on to WrestleMania and challenge either Stephanie McAir or Jade Cargill. I don't really know yet. But they're just trying to beat Rhea Ripley and Io Sky tonight for the women's tag titles and go from there. But then we cut back to Cody Rhodes, who looks like he's being ejected from the building by security, with SmackDown General Manager Nick Aldis telling Cody that he will have an Elimination Chamber qualifying match next week, but he needs to control his emotions until then, because if he keeps going off the rails, the second chance at WrestleMania will be called off, and he will not appear at WrestleMania. So Cody has to be careful. He tells Aldis he's going to control himself, and he leaves the building, for what we know. And then we cut to our women's tag team championship match with Kiana James and Julia versus Rhea Ripley and Io Sky. I think James and Julia held their own in this match pretty well. It shows what they can do in these big match situations, having the good guy, bad guy moments, the underhanded tactics. It's good stuff. Io and Rhea's chemistry together, I can't keep stressing it enough. It's off the charts. They're so fun to watch. They cut promos great together. They're just a good pairing. Their chemistry is great. When they're facing each other, when they're working together, Rhea Ripley and Io Sky are wrestling soulmates. If you count, and that's like a term in the business too, like Punk and Cena, CM Punk and John Cena being wrestling soulmates, like two people who just complement each other in the wrestling ring in every single way. That's Rhea Ripley and Io Sky. But once it started with Io, but once Rhea got in this thing, everything changed. Hits Riptide on Julia, elbow drop by Io Sky onto Julia after that, and 1, 2, 3, they are still the women's tag team champions. And better luck next time, Kiana and Julia. I'm sorry. Rhea and Io are on another one. They are. You'll get your time. Don't worry. Just not yet. We then cut to a backstage segment where Ilya Dragunov is making his way to the ring to challenge for the United States Championship and Carmelo Hayes for the weekly United States Open Challenge, before The Miz confronts him about last week, and Dragunov tells him to get out of the way, which Miz responds by saying that trying to get your way with brute force does not work every time, which Dragunov replied with the fact that it seemed to work out last week when he destroyed him. Oh, jeez, you didn't have to do my guy Miz like that. Come on, Ilya. Jeez. Miz tries to tell Dragunov that his open challenge tonight is closed and that he's challenging instead, which I guess he can do, because this is what happens. The Miz will end up being Carmelo Hayes' challenge for the United States Open Challenge tonight, and he took Ilya's spot. That's actually crazy. Miz replies with one final line before he heads out to the ring as Carmelo Hayes approaches him and says, "If anybody calls the shots around here, it's me, Carmelo Hayes, the United States champion." But the last thing Miz says before he leaves, before he goes out there to face him, is that you better not miss. And Carmelo Hayes' thing is Melo don't miss, so he best not miss if he wants to talk that mess. So we get to a commercial, and after the commercial, we get to the match with Miz and Melo for the United States Championship. The match was a lot better for the Miz this week. He not only got some offense in, but at moments I thought he was going to win. But ultimately, Carmelo Hayes is going to be one of the feature stars. He's beaten an entire list of really decent people on this championship run. And it's obvious that at least in this moment, the company is going to move forward with him. He's going to be on the next track. Carmelo Hayes hits this modified code breaker on The Miz for a decent back and forth and is still United States champion. So Carmelo Hayes is on a roll. And maybe we'll get him and Ilya Dragunov for the United States title next week on SmackDown. Maybe, I don't know. We then cut to a backstage segment with Tiffany Stratton. She's asked about returning in the Rumble and coming up short, unfortunately, being one of the final three in the match. And what this Elimination Chamber qualifying match for her tonight means. Chelsea Green interrupts her by saying she was robbed of her own WrestleMania moment. It says that her only superstar that's newsworthy is Chelsea Green. Tiffany responds in a very kind way that she'll end up in the obituaries instead of the headlines when she's done with Chelsea tonight. So essentially, we have a triple threat match. Excuse me, I don't know what's going on. We have a triple threat match between Tiffany Stratton, Chelsea Green, and Lash Legend for a spot in the Elimination Chamber match. But before we get to that match, we cut to a Wyatt 6 vignette. One thing I noticed when I brought up the last episode is that I didn't even bring up the Wyatt 6 and Solo Sikoa stuff. I forgot about that. That's a tag team beef going on right now in the WWE. And I forgot that portion. So we got the Wyatt 6 and Solo in his MFTs tonight. Bo Dallas is in his classic Wyatt family rocking chair and tells Solo Sikoa that he started his group with his family of the MFTs because he didn't want to be alone. So he holds the light tight, hoping that it will keep everyone close. However, Bo says that won't happen because fear doesn't hide itself when people are together. It only shows up when you're all alone. And he has a maniacal Bray Wyatt-esque laugh. The creepy vibes are there. I love the fact that the Wyatts, the essence of the Wyatts, is still in the WWE despite Bray Wyatt unfortunately passing away. Finally have a platform to say this stuff. The Wyatt 6 are phenomenal. They're a great tribute to Bray Wyatt, but not only that, they're making their own out of it, and super into what they're doing. Always am. Wyatt stuff is really cool stuff. But then we get to our first Elimination Chamber qualifying match of the week. Men and women with the Lash Legend, Tiffany Stratton, and Chelsea Green. All three women have their own separate reasons for wanting to be a part of it, and I didn't really know who to pull for. But all three women get their stuff in, which is nice. You don't want anyone to look kind of rough in there. You don't want anyone to look like they didn't put enough effort. Everyone felt like they had a chance to win this thing, but eventually who I imagined was going to win. Tiffany Stratton hits her prettiest moonsault ever, which is what she calls it. The prettiest moonsault ever, and hits a win. And now she is the first of 6 to qualify for the Elimination Chamber match. We'll find out the rest of the competitors as the weeks go on. But Tiffany Stratton, it's Tiffy time at the Chamber, and so we will have her there for that. We cut to Kit Wilson, who's got the best theme in the business, in my opinion. It's so good. I love it. He is the topic, after all. He calls himself the topic in the definition of masculinity. He says it's no wonder. I had to drink some water. He says it's no wonder why he wasn't in the Royal Rumble match on Saturday, and said they couldn't handle a man with his emotions. In his quote, moisturization, or whatever the hell that means, This guy's entertaining. He's so entertaining. He's such a character. He then asks the audience to take him in while he shakes his hips. Just, and he's superstar in the back to face him. But guess who comes out to face him? Obafemi, the same guy who destroyed two grown-ass Vikings on Raw on Monday, comes out and challenges pretty boy Kit Wilson. Oh my god. He destroys Kit Wilson in a squash match. I mean, they are double booking Obafemi. He's looking good. He's looking like he's gonna be the future. I'm ready to see him go against some real competition for now. I don't think we can keep putting him in these squash matches every week, because then it's like, what are we doing for Oba? Oba's got some, going up there in competition. He's got to go up the totem pole a little bit. So I hope that after this week, we can start putting in some more serious matches. Ones that he can maybe look a little flawed, potentially. Because you can't build a Goldberg type character where you just can never be beaten or look hurt. Because I don't think we're in that type of era anymore. I think we're in a different time. So you're okay to be flawed. We cut to a backstage segment, and R-Truth and Damian Priest are hanging out together, and Truth is loving what Obafemi's doing. Me too, bro. Me too. He's saying that he destroyed people in that match. He ate people in that match. He's a ruler. Drew McIntyre bumps into Truth, probably intentionally. He's probably upset over the fact that he didn't get his word out earlier. But Priest steps in and reminds them of their history. And he's got way too many problems on his plate right now to add another. And he walks away to the ring again to probably try to cut his promo once more. But he didn't want any of Damian Priest's smoke. Walks away. He's already got enough on his plate. It's champion. Makes sense. Drew McIntyre comes out again to possibly cut that promo after Cody Rhodes had been ejected, but he is again ambushed, but this time by Jacob Fatu, who has his own issues with McIntyre. Drew McIntyre gave him a Claymore kick. I think kayfabe broke his jaw, sidelined him for a little bit. He came back Saturday night's main event against Cody Rhodes, the match that Drew McIntyre interfered in, hence why Drew has these issues now with not only Cody Rhodes, but with Jacob Fatu. Security comes back out, same way they did with Cody, trying to stop Jacob, but he's laying security guys out and tearing announce tables. So now he can't be stopped. But he eventually storms backstage on his own merit and gets the same lecture from SmackDown general manager Nick Aldis that Cody did. He can't do that. He's ejected from the building as well. And he will also get an Elimination Chamber qualifying match next week at SmackDown for his shot at Drew McIntyre. And Jacob accepts it. And he will say, and I quote, he's going to walk the dog out of whoever is laid out in front of him. Storms off. Dog walk the ass. That's what I meant to say. Dog walk the ass. That's what he said. So now we cut to Shinsuke Nakamura versus Tama Tonga of the MFTs, Solo's family tree. This match is such a love letter to the fans who remember these two when they were in Japan. Now they're both competing on the biggest stage together. It's pretty neat. I don't know too much of the New Japan lore, but these two definitely were the pinnacles of New Japan for a long time at the same time, so it's cool to see it on the major stage. There's this really cool spot in the match where Tama Tonga jumps off the barricade, hits an elbow to the back of Nakamura's head. I thought that was pretty neat. They don't see that often, but this was an amazing back and forth. This match was awesome. These two proved exactly why they're so talented and why they were so renowned in Japan when they were in Japan. But eventually, due to MFT interference, the biggest guy of the group, Tala Tonga, I mean, this guy's like 10 foot tall, but at the end of the day, they grab the foot of Nakamura and distract him long enough for Tonga to hit his signature cutthroat. That's his finishing move name, I guess. Cutthroat. Excuse me, God. To win the match. Ugh. Wow, I'm so sorry. I am gassy. So Tama Tonga ended up winning this thing, and I was actually kind of surprised about that, considering maybe where they might be going with Shinsuke, but I don't really know where they're going with Shinsuke. I've said that since 2018. I don't have a negative opinion to say about it. I just don't even know. He's just always drifting around. He's just always there. But unfortunately, no win for Shin tonight. Bars. We then cut to a backstage segment with the teams of the Motor City Machine Guns and Fraxium. They're talking about running a friendly competitive tag team match on SmackDown one week, and Candice LeRae. Let me tell y'all, I'm so pissed. Candice LeRae confronts him and shows him a slumped over Johnny Gargano. And Chris Sabin of the Machine Guns says that's not Johnny Gargano, but just dirty laundry. And Candice says he's been like this all week since Axiom took back his mask. And she says that mask meant everything to Gargano. Fraxium doesn't understand this as it's their mask. And Johnny just stole it. Even though he loves it so much, he just stole it from them. But Fraxium leaves. They're not wanting to hear any of this crap. And Candice begs the Machine Guns to help. They're a reminder that Gargano has lied to them, cost them the championships, and they leave as well. And Johnny's literally just like planking on a supply box. I don't even know what it is. I don't know what's happened to him. Like, why does he look dead on a box? We have got to do something different here with Johnny Gargano. We've got to. Now that Champ is gone, his tag team partner, he's stuck by himself. What is he supposed to do? He's got to get out of the tag team division. Let's start there and get him in a singles mindset. Get him back in the singles game. So there's no one he needs to team up with anymore at this point. That part of Johnny Gargano, I think, is over. As long as Champ is not there. He's the partner, and he's not there. Get my guy out of this situation, please. We then cut to a backstage segment where Rhea Ripley and Io Sky talk about successfully retaining their tag team championships against Kiana James and Julia earlier tonight. They said that they put up a good fight, but they are now looking forward to their Elimination Chamber qualifying matches on Monday, which I will cover. But are interrupted by Nia Jax and Lash Legend, who say a spot in the chamber would be wasted on them, and that it should have gone to Lash, but she was screwed out of it. They say it's about time they talk to Nick Aldis for a tag team title match. They storm away, just like that. Wonder what that'll mean. I wonder what that would mean. We then cut to Kit Wilson upset about his loss to Obafemi just being destroyed. I can't blame the guy. He's a true, real man. He confronts Matt Cardona about saying that he started this toxic masculinity when he first beat him, and says that he looks like a protein bar with chiseled abs. What a roast. Cardona says that if he's ready to step up, he's always ready. That's his. See, get it? Because that's his gimmick. He's always ready. It's on his shirt. Wilson responds with saying, "If you'll excuse me, boys, I need me a warm bath." That's how he said it because he's British. I think it was absolutely great. Kit Wilson's got a future in this business. He does. He does. We then cut to another Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez segment, Judgment Day. SmackDown General Manager welcomes her to the ring after saying on Monday she was going to assess her option by coming to SmackDown and seeing what it's about. Liv says her thing again, I will not do it twice. It says that she's not only the greatest Royal Rumble winner of all time, but she is the hottest, the smartest, the funniest, the most charismatic, most talented, and with great power comes great responsibility. A la Spider-Man. She weighs in her WrestleMania options with Stephanie Vaquer in the Women's World title or Jade Cargill in the WWE Women's title. She admits that WrestleMania isn't the only thing on her mind and wants to address everything else, but Raquel Rodriguez wants to go on ahead and address the other issues. Maybe that happened on Monday Night Raw, screwing her out of the world title when you shouldn't have, or eliminating her from the Royal Rumble, or anything else you've done to Raquel over the last 2 weeks or so. But before they can even talk about it, Jade Cargill comes out. And Jade says she doesn't care that Liv is on SmackDown or that she won the Rumble match. Jade says if she chooses her, she's gonna whoop that ass at WrestleMania. She then proceeds to ask Raquel what the hell she's looking at. The two face off, with Liv saying that if she were her, she'd watch what she says next. Because Liv could choose Stephanie Bacquer at WrestleMania, and Raquel could win the chamber and face Jade, and they could both walk out champions. And then Jordynne Grace comes out, who's already had her own deal with Jade Cargill. Jordan congratulates Liv for winning the Rumble and says if she could get Jade to defend the title, it could be her and Jordan at WrestleMania. And Liv just laughs at her. She's just like, "What? You're not going to do that. What are you talking about? You're just a rookie. You're just fresh meat around here. What are you going to do?" Liv starts to say her thing again about being the greatest of all time. Jade and Jordan both say in unison, "Shut up, bitch!" Quote The Rock. And all four women start talking mad trash to each other. And all this interferes by saying if Liv's available to talk, Liv's available to fight. And books a tag team match between Liv and Raquel of the Judgment Day and the unlikely duo of Jade Cargill and Jordynne Grace. I wonder how that's going to go. I have no idea. The match starts immediately with crazy tag team brawling. These four were already heated, and they just weren't even fighting within a tag team rule. They were all just going crazy, brawling around. Jade and Jordan are constantly bickering because they already have so much beef. You know, they can't work together as a tag team. At least Liv and Raquel can work as a tag team when it comes to that moment. Because they didn't even talk about the elephant in the room, though, and that's the issue. They never got to even hash out their feelings regarding being eliminated from the Rumble and being screwed out of your world title opportunity by Liv Morgan. That never got to be talked about, and I imagine it'll continue to bleed over into the next few Raws. But this match is solid. Jade, at some point in the match, accidentally super kicks her partner, Grace, and Raquel accidentally lays out Liv, too. So that leaves just her and Jade in the ring. These two powerhouse women, these two dominating women. These two women will go crazy on each other. But Grace eventually, in this chaos, scrolls a quick roll up on Rodriguez for the 1-2-3. And the unlikely duo of Jade Cargill and Jordynne Grace get the win. They get the job done over the established tag team of Liv and Raquel Rodriguez up to this point. Again, holy Judgment Day turmoil. There is going to be some major fireworks in the Judgment Day in the next coming weeks. I believe that wholeheartedly. Good luck. But then we cut to another backstage segment with a clearly defeated Sami Zayn after losing his opportunity at the WWE Championship at the Royal Rumble last week. He walks the hallways looking defeated. He's confronted by Rey Fenix. He tells him not to give up. He tells him he's an inspiration to everybody around. He's an inspiration to him. He's an inspiration to the kids around the world. Trick Williams comes in to interrupt. Another new face of WWE from NXT. He comes in and wonders why he looks up to, quote unquote, Mr. Can't Get It Done. Wow. And compares him to an NFL team who makes the playoffs every year but can never win the Super Bowl, aka the Cowboys. Trick says in 2 months he's been here. He's already changed the game and knows how to get the job done. By the way, my comment about the Cowboys, they didn't even make the playoffs this year, so even that's not true. Screw Dallas. Go Commanders. Phoenix says Trick has a big mouth, and if he keeps talking, he'll knock his teeth down his throat, which Williams responded with anytime, anywhere, and Sami is still left broken in the background as these two guys are just beefing like something's wrong. Sami is not happy. Sami's not usually in his uplifting mood. Something's bothering him, and I hope maybe he turns to a bad guy eventually. That'd be kind of cool. All this sets up a match between Rey Fenix and Trick Williams for next week. So we will have that match happen. Who knows? I imagine Trick Williams will win that affair. But still, it's good to at least check in on our guy, Sami, and hope he's okay. because I know he's sad. He's gonna be all right. WrestleMania 47 will be in Saudi Arabia. He'll get his moment then. He'll get his moment. It's only a matter of time. We cut to another backstage segment where right after the tag team loss or not the tag team loss, tag team win, I'm sorry, of Jade Cargill and Jordan Grace, the two girls are just yelling at each other face to face, telling each other to back off, get away from me. And Nick Aldis, once again, he's just here, there, and everywhere. Nick Aldis just poofs, poofs, poofs in every situation. He tells him that the feud between them, the arguing, the fights, the brawls, it all has to stop between the two of them. And he books a WWE Women's Championship match between Jordan Grace and Jade Cargill for next week on Friday Night SmackDown. And so for the third time tonight, Drew McIntyre comes out. Now that Jacob Fatu and Cody Rhodes have been sidelined, now there shouldn't be anybody else left to just ambush the guy before he even gets a thought out. He's finally able to start speaking. He says both Jacob Fatu and Cody Rhodes should be banned from the Elimination Chamber qualifying matches for attacking him. He says he's crushed Sami Zayn. He says he crushed his spirit and will crush anyone who gets in his way. And then he goes on about CM Punk and Roman Reigns on Raw and all the crap they talked about him being not the worthy choice and being the second option. And he says he was disappointed. He says it feels like his WWE Championship feels like second place to the world title in CM Punk. And Drew's been through hell and back to get this title. He has. He really has. Getting fired, coming back, going through the COVID era and winning the title then. And then, having a few years span without it. He has deserved this title 100% of the way. And Trick Williams comes out again and confronts Drew and says he's not worrying about Drew, and that Drew's worrying about all the wrong people. He's not worried about Cody Rhodes. He's not worried about Jacob Fatu. Not worried about CM Punk, Roman Reigns. Trick Willie is the future of this company. And he wants to sit back and watch tonight's triple threat Elimination Chamber qualifying match with his quote-unquote lemon pepper steppers on his feet. He always looks so extravagant when he comes out, so he's got his lemon pepper steppers. But Drew replies that if he interrupts the champ again, he would stick his lemon pepper steppers where the sun don't shine. So, learn that lesson, kid. We cut to one more backstage segment of the night, and this is a very interesting development because the MFTs were all on SmackDown tonight as Tama Tonga beat Shinsuke Nakamura. But Solo Sikoa, the leader of this group, cannot find his other family members who have already won, but he can't find them. Kathy Kelly comes up to him and asks him about his triple threat qualifying match tonight. But Wyatt Six Static starts to fill the screen. And so Solo doesn't know where they are, but he's got to focus on the main event. But it's implied probably that the Wyatt Six took the MFTs somewhere because they're creepy and all that. I can only imagine they took them, and we don't want to know where they took them. I can't imagine. But he grabs his infamous lantern, the one he stole from the Wyatts, the infamous Bray Wyatt lantern, the one he always brought out to the ring. That was part of his character, his gimmick. Solo's obviously doing that to mock the Wyatts, which is clearly not something you should do. You've got family captured. It's not a good idea. So we've got the main event. We've got Randy Orton versus Solo Sikoa and Aleister Black in a triple threat for the Elimination Chamber qualifying spot number 1. Solo walks out with the lantern. Solo is incredible. I mean, I love Solo. Let's talk about Solo for a minute. I just love Solo. His theme song I dance to every time he comes out. The women's match is the same with this match. I like all three people in this thing. It's super hard to get a winner. I had a reason for each of them getting in. You can only get 6 spots. It's really tough. Um, my pick though, who ended up winning this match, was hardly involved early, which was a little surprising for me. But he finally got in there, and I'm talking about Randy Orton. He proceeds to stomp out Solo and Alistair and beat up. All three guys are putting it out there. All three guys have their own motivations, convincing efforts. This is what you want out of multi-man matches. You just want everybody to get an equal opportunity to win this thing, to suspend the belief of the fan who might already have an idea for who's winning. All three guys are putting it out there. They really are. But Randy Orton eventually takes firm control over the match and is getting ready to hit his iconic RKO to Solo, but Black interferes. Randy gets another chance to hit an RKO and hits one after missing Aleister Black's signature Black Mass, which certainly would have ended things, but Black rolls out of the ring, priming Solo Sikoa in the back of Randy Orton. He's like loading up that Samoan spike to the throat. He's got that thumb ready to go. He's ready. But it's like Orton with that Viper sense. You can tell he's got that Viper Apex Predator sense, and hits that RKO on Solo Sikoa and has won his first opportunity, his first spot at the Elimination Chamber match coming up on the 28th. He is in his 10th Elimination Chamber match in his career. The guy is continuing to chase history. He wants to get his 15th world title run. It's the right pick. It's the right pick. I love Randy Orton, and I think everyone else loves Randy Orton as much as I do. Good win. Great pick. Great match. And overall, I think SmackDown was a little bit better than Raw. I think the Roman Reigns and CM Punk stuff was the highlight of the week for me. That was great stuff between those two. I can only imagine that promo and that feud is going to build even bigger. But overall, like I said, a solid week. I mean, it's what you expect. And I can only hope we can keep building on this and telling more and more deeper of a story. But with that, ladies and gentlemen, I'll go ahead and get to my last segment of the podcast, which is the news break. Alright, so our first major story is that Braun Breaker apparently recently underwent surgery for a very serious hernia. And there is no word just yet on how long he will be out of action. But the timing could not be worse, considering WWE is just 2 months out from its biggest show of the year, WrestleMania 42. I mean, yeah, these things, that's true. I mean, it's. I hope he can come back in time for WrestleMania. The WWE has obviously big plans for Breaker, and I hope this doesn't set him back terribly. Especially when this story with the hooded figure is about to start developing. I certainly hope he's okay, or that he can come back and speedy recovery to the dog. Second story of the day comes from PW Insider. The son of Hulk Hogan, Nick Belair, was spotted at the WWE Performance Center this week. No reason has been given at the time of this writing, but he has talked about wanting to maybe train one day to become a wrestler from time to time, but he's never made the full commitment. Maybe he's taking a visit at the Performance Center to see what it's like. I don't know. I don't know if he's going to take up after his dad's legacy and get into the ring. We do not know. But the fact that he was potentially spotted at the Performance Center is pretty interesting. Pretty interesting indeed. More sad news. Big E reconfirms, former wrestler Big E, reconfirms with fans that a return to the wrestling ring anytime soon is not in the cards. The injury that officially put him in retirement was a broken C1 and C6 vertebrae in his neck after a botch that went horribly wrong with Ridge Holland on an episode of SmackDown back in 2022, 2021. And he's been out of action since then. And I assume that he'll be out of action for good. He's got a solid career now outside of wrestling. He doesn't need wrestling anymore. He's a commentator. He's a panelist for the pay-per-views and the shows. He's part of podcasts. The guy is doing perfectly fine without the wrestling business, and I think in interviews he's talked about, how he's just accepted the fact that that part of his career might be over. And, as much as we all remember and love Big E, it's important to note that he's happy where he is, and we have to just, as fans, move forward with that. Take that as what it is. And so, all the best to Big E. And if he ever can return, if they ever clear him, that'd be awesome. We've seen people get cleared from injuries that weren't possible maybe to come back from. So we never really know. But for the time being, Big E will not be returning to the ring anytime soon. He just reconfirmed it. Another thing that took over the wrestling world by storm this week was when Seth Rollins and MJF came face to face. They were both part of some sort of Comic-Con or some sort of convention, and so they ended up meeting together, and someone took a video of the two of them chatting it up, having a little face-off. This was really cool to see. When you've got one guy from AEW and one guy from WWE, two of the best in two completely different promotions, coming together, just makes you wonder, maybe one day we'll get that match in some capacity. You can never say never in the business, ever. So we don't know, but this was something that took the wrestling fans by storm. This was a cool face-off. I've never seen it up to this point. It's a match I'm sure most fans would love to see. And our final story is the one of the nature boy, Ric Flair. That's sad in his 70s at this point. I don't know how old he is exactly. But he has been speculated about wrestling for yet another last match after his last match, part 10, a few years ago. He was offered this match at some sort of indie show against Ricky Morton, former Rock and Roll Express member. He's also up there in age. But Ric Flair eventually clarified that he's not taking the offer and that he's indeed done and has no desire to get back into the ring. These two developments came within a few days of each other. So when I first heard that Flair might come out of retirement, it sounded like he's thinking about it. But as the story developed, it was just an offer given to him to work a match. Ric Flair decided not to work a match. Thank God. He's hard. Like it's hard to see because he's like, in the videos that I see him, he's just drunk all the time, and it's clear like maybe Hulk Hogan's death is hitting him hard. I don't know what's going on in the life of Ric Flair, but I don't know if it's necessarily sunshine and rainbows. So I can't imagine he'd want to get in the ring and potentially hurt himself bad. Because eventually you got to know when to hang it up. I know that in wrestling, the easy thing to say is that, oh, guys retire, but never really retire. They always come back. I think it takes an incredible amount of courage to say you're going to retire once and stick through it. And in anything you do, if you say you're going to retire from anything you love and you stick to it to pursue just your inner happiness, I think that's the point of life in general, is to do what you love so that one day you can relax and look back on all your accomplishments. That's the idea of the American dream and just in life in general. So I don't know where I'm gotten with this point, but Ric Flair is one of the greatest of all time. He does not need to prove anything to anybody at this point in his life and in his career. And I hope that he's well, because he's one of the greatest. And we've only got so many of them left in this golden age. In that golden age of wrestling. We only have so many of those guys left. So we have to celebrate them while they're here. Now that I'm doing this podcast, I imagine I'm sure I'll have to cover a wrestling death on here eventually. So it's just part of life and part of the business. And I just don't want Ric Flair to get hurt at this point. Watching his last match in 2022 was already hard enough to really sit through. So I'm glad he's backpedaled and not did that. But with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, I believe that's all I have to report here this week. I'd like to thank everybody again. If you've made it this far in, if you've put up with my rambling up to this point, I thank you all so much. And next week we'll have another episode of the Rasslin Report.